Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and greetings. Today, our group will be presenting about humanistic approach in education as part of our oral critic assignment.
My name is Nurul Kasha and I'm going to explain about the goals of humanistic approach. This approach is a student-centered learning. It focuses on the intellectual interest and goal for each student. It also helps the student to reach their full potential because it focuses more on the students and help them to improve themselves because in the student-centered learning, students do the work the most so that they know what they should do and the effort they put to improve themselves is all about themselves. So it's also make the student become more responsible in their studying and focus on the students inner motivation. Inner motivation is so important because inner motivation is what makes us feel motivated for a very long time. When we feel down, we remember. When we feel down, we easily pick ourselves up because of our motivation that we that we have inside of us. It's also focused on the values, focusing on human well-being and acknowledge human dignity. Thank you.
Okay, so the principles of humanistic learning theory. So there are several important principles involved in the humanistic learning theory that all lead to self-actualization. Okay, so the first one is student choice. Choice is central to the humanistic learning theory and humanistic psychology. So students make choice that can range from daily activities to future goals. Students are encouraged to focus on a specific subject area of interest for a reasonable amount of time that they choose. Next is fostering engagement to inspire students to become self-motivated to learn. So the effectiveness of this method is based on learners feeling engaged and self-motivated, so they want to learn. So humanistic learning relies on educators working to engage students, encouraging them to find things they are passionate about, so they are excited about learning. So next is the importance of self-evaluation. For most humanistic teachers, grade doesn't really matter actually. So evaluation is the most meaningful way to evaluate how learning is going. So grading students encourage students to work for the grade instead of doing things based on their own satisfaction and excitement of learning. Routine testing and rote memorization don't lead to meaningful learning in this theory, and thus are encouraged by humanistic teachers. Humanistic educators help students perform self-evaluation so they can see how students feel about their progress. And lastly, feelings and knowledge are both important to the learning process and should not be separated according to humanistic psychology. So humanistic teachers believe that knowledge and feelings go hand in hand in the learning process. Cognitive and effective learning are both important to humanistic learning. Lesson and activities should focus on the whole student and their intellect and feelings, so not one or the other student. So that's all from principles. Thank you.
Next, I'm going to explain the limitations in the implementation of humanistic approach. The first limitation is suitable teachers are hard to find. The capability of a teacher plays an important role in ensuring the success of the humanist approach. In the humanist classroom, the role of the teacher is to facilitate students' open expressions and feelings. They prioritize the idea that knowledge and feelings go hand in hand in the learning process. However, in traditional teacher preparation courses, this idea is not emphasized. Instead, future teachers learn techniques such as classroom control, lesson planning, and student discipline, all of which are contradictory to the humanistic approach. Thus, finding the suitable teachers for the humanist classroom proves to be a challenge. The second limitation is unorganized learning styles. The humanist approach claims that each student has a best learning style and that a humanist teacher should implement the appropriate learning style for each student. This is because in the humanist classroom, the students' needs and feelings are one of the main priorities of a humanist teacher. However, in a classroom that consists of many students, this can lead to unorganized learning styles. The third limitation is humanist approach only put emphasis on the individual. The humanist approach in the classroom puts emphasis on the individual, in which each student are encouraged to focus on self-evaluation. However, students spend most of their time in the classroom in groups, so when it comes to classroom activities that involves discussion, this can lead to extroverted students monopolizing the discussion. Thus, this gives little help in the improvement of the introverted student's self-esteem.
The role of teachers in humanistic approach. The teacher assumes the role of a coach or facilitator to assist the student in establishing and using their learning strategies to achieve their goal by teaching learning skills, providing motivation for classroom tasks, providing choices to students in task or subject selection, and creating opportunities for group work with peers. The role of student in humanistic approach. Student must be involved in the socio-affective learning activities. Learning should be an effective process where the student is engaged with the learning activities to acquire the knowledge specific to their situation. Humanistic approach activities in education. Some example of humanistic education in action includes teacher help students to set learning goals at the beginning of the year and help design the pathway for students to reach their goals. Students are in charge of their learning and teachers can help steer them in the right direction. Teachers can create exciting and engaging learning opportunities. For example, teachers trying to help students understand government. This can allow students to create their own government in the classroom. Students will be excited about learning as well as be in charge on how everything runs. Teachers also can create a safe learning environment for students by having snacks, encouraging students to use the bathroom and get water, and creating good relationship with students so that they will trust speaking to their teacher if there is an issue. Teachers can utilize journaling to help students focus on self-evaluation and their feelings as part of learning. Using prompt question can help students better understand their feeling and progress in learning. When considering teaching practices, teachers can incorporate humanistic theory into the classroom by making time to collaborate with other educators, evaluating student needs and wants regularly, connecting with parents to help meet specific student needs, and preparing to try new things with students regularly.